everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is everyone's favorite day, myself included. Today we are playing Library Card, my TBR game, and we are playing for the winter season. This will cover the months of January, February, and March. I haven't been around as much as I've been working a lot and then I got sick. I'm super excited to be starting off the year with a new round of Library Card with lots of new reads. I'm super excited to be starting the Buzzwordathon and cover challenge this year. I want to get some of those onto my TBR this time. But before we get into the game, I do have some housekeeping. If you have never watched a Library Card video on my channel, if you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. If you are just a little bit unclear about how Library Card works, I have written up a how-to play guide and a list of all the prompts that are in the game. If you're curious to read those, I will leave the links down below for you. I tend to make changes while I play just to improve the game, and I have done some of those, and to prevent me from forgetting them this time, I actually did write them down. So let's go over the changes that I've done to the game. The first thing I did was I added new late finds. I think I added 12 to 15 new late finds to keep things interesting. I added one new prompt into the game, and then I've also changed my TBR jar to a TBR pouch. My jar was outgrown. And then as far as the board itself, I've covered up the fiction spaces. It was just a little bit too broad with 4 various other genres. I covered up suspense because I feel like I have a lot of horror, mystery, suspense on this board. And I've covered those up with 4 various genres. And I covered up adventure as well with 4 other various genres. In the previous round of Library Card, I had a total of 16 books, including a late find, and I'm just going to quickly go through whether or not I read them. My first book in this round of Library Card was a mystery with a black cover, and for this I selected Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and I did read this. My second prompt was a fantasy with a green cover, and I selected Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, but I did not read this one. My third prompt was a realistic fiction book with a pretty cover, and for this I chose Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, and I did read this. My fourth prompt was to select a sci-fi novel between 400 and 500 pages, and for this I chose Scythe by Neal Shusterman, which I did read. For my fifth prompt, I got suspense written by a female author, and for this I chose The Return by Rachel Harrison, and I did read that. For my sixth book, I got a mystery published before 1900, and for this I chose Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, and I did read this. Book number 7 was a folklore and fairy tale space set in a fictional world, and for this I read Red as Flame by Anthea Sharp, and yes, I did read that. For my 8th prompt, I landed on reading list and used the prompt has a map. And for that, I chose The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and I did read that. For my 9th book, it was a mystery that was a translated book, and for this I chose The Night House by Nesbo, and I did read that. For my 10th book, I needed a nonfiction with a country in the title, and for that I chose In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom by Yeonmi Park, and I did read that. Book number 11 was a historical fiction with an ugly cover, and for this I chose Hour of the Witch by Chris Bohjalian, but I did not read this one. For my 12th book, it was a horror with blood or gore on the cover, and for this I chose A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I did read that. For my 13th book, I needed a book from my reading list with stars on the cover, and for this I chose The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, and I did read that. For my 14th book, I needed a young adult book with a reptile on the cover, and for this I chose What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez, but I didn't read this one. Book 15 was a dystopian book published between 1950 and 1970, and for this I chose A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess, and I did read that. And finally, I did have a late find, and that was to pull a random book from my TBR jar, and for that I pulled The Wizard of Oz and read the first volume of my Wizard of Oz books, and I did read that. So I read 13 out of 16 books, and I've got to tell you, when you see them all laid out like this, it really hurts that I didn't just suck it up and read the last 3 books, because man, was I close. But close only counts in horseshoes, so I will be starting this round of library card off with my late fine being paid. Just a little sneak peek of behind the scenes setup. So I have my piles of books here that are my literary and classics that come off of my living room shelf. Everything else is right here in front of me for easy access. I can grab anything off the shelves or cart. And like down on my little stacks, I just have some from the living room and then some Buzzwordathon picks that I'm hoping to get on here. I have all of my gameplay pieces, and then I have my journals, my lists, my laptops, things to write things down to play. So let's start by shuffling our deck here. I did add in the prompts from my last game back into the deck just to start fresh. Although I'm hoping not to pull the same prompts over and over again. I tend to do that, like with over 250 prompts, I think. Like, why do I pick all the same ones all the time? It's really anticlimactic. And also, I do take suggestions for prompts. If you have anything I should add in, just comment down below. I have like a million more cards I could add. So just let me know if you have suggestions, ideas, and I will put those in here as well. I'm not doing a good job. Good enough. Okay, I will not be needing my book club perks because I did not complete my TBR in the last round. So I'm just going to take those off the board and put them in my jar, and we'll see those another time, but maybe they're incredibly elusive. But I do need to pull a late find, so let me shuffle that also. Now, I will say, though, I think late finds are more fun than rewards when playing the game. It just makes it more random and unpredictable, and that's kind of the whole fun of playing this game. So, late find it will be. Okay, so let's start here. I'm nervous. Add the next book in a series to your TBR. Okay, that's not a bad one. That's not that bad. That's not a bad one to start off with. What book do I want to read? Hold that thought. I think I've decided, and this is the correct decision. I'm going to read Blood and Gold, the Vampire Chronicles book 8, I think, 7 or 8. It's been a while since I read Merrick. I was trying to read the Mayfair Witches series before I got back into the Vampire Chronicles, but this one is Marius's story and it takes place before all of this, so I don't think it's going to give me any conflicting information that I don't understand the same way Merrick did. So I think this is a safe read, and I don't know, can you see that sticker there? 07. November of 07. That is when I got this book. This is one of the oldest books on my TBR because I bought it when I was 15 years old, and I just was too young to appreciate the Vampire Chronicles when I was that young, but I am glad I bought all these books at that time. I'm not an overly spicy person myself, but these books do tend to get spicy, but they don't bother me the way they did when I was a lot younger. So I'm gonna add Blood and Gold by Anne Rice as my late find punishment, my first book for my TBR. I think that's the correct decision. Get into pulling the cards. I'm gonna kind of keep these in frame, but I'm gonna pull my first 5 cards. You always start with 5 prompt cards, and that has a purple cover, has a pretty cover. I hope they're not all cover prompts. Has a K title. Has a green cover. That is not a good variety. Not liking that. Has a black cover. That's crazy. That's so many cover prompts. I don't know how that happens. It just does. Okay. And I'm super excited. I got new dice for this game. So I got new pretty jade colored dice, and I am gonna be using my D12 for this game. That way I can actually maybe hit some of these earlier prompts. And I always feel like I land on the same squares all the time. I don't know how that happens, but I feel like I always land on the same squares. So I'm hoping changing the dice will change my luck. Let's just give that a good old college try here. All right, roll number 1. It is a 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Reference. That is pulling out of the TBR jar right away. And the TBR jar is now the TBR pouch. All the unread books I own are in this pouch. Let's see. We're starting random. We are going to read, it's upside down. This is How You Lose the Time War. Okay, that's a newer book to my shelves, but let me grab it. I got it. So This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. It is a sci-fi romance time traveling book is kind of what I know about it. They are on opposing forces of a war, and the main character Red finds a letter that says burn before reading. She reads the letter. Through letters and time travel and whatever, I don't really know, they end up falling in love, and what's worth winning, love or war, that kind of story. It's not very big book, so I'm not too mad to have pulled this one randomly. Zip this up. Or the next one. Roll number 2. 2. 1, 2. Historical fiction. The next prompt card has a color in the title. All right, let's take a look at historical fiction. So this is all my historical fiction here. Just kind of give you an overview. This is double stacked. There's a whole other stack of books back there. So let's just take a look. I don't see anything here with a color in the title. It's way too early to be putting an Outlander book on. Let me just pull these out real quick. And that is what's back there. Still nothing with a color in the title. So let's look at my other options for cards, because that's the only one sticking out in my mind. My other options are purple cover, green cover, pretty cover, black cover, K title. Okay. Something that I really want to read. I would really like to read Alias Grace, but it's kind of chunky. The Kite Runner is a K title. I just didn't read Hour of the Witch in my last TBR, so probably wouldn't read that one again right now. The Four Winds by Hannah Kristen's an option. Clytemnestra is an option. This one's actually a yellow cover, like more yellow than green. I'm sorry if you can hear music in the background. Alonzo is watching the second season of Squid Game, and there's no way he's gonna turn it down. Circe, I should probably read. That's a black cover. This one has been on my shelf maybe the longest, so I think we'll commit. I think I'll do Circe. Sorry if it feels like the camera's moved, because it has. I want to actually take you guys on the process of picking my books this time, because that's one of my favorite parts of watching other people's TBR games, is watching them pick the books and go through their options. So I'm going to be taking you along, even if that means messing up my camera recording equipment, but that's fine. And for a historical fiction, I am going to go with Circe by Madeline Miller. It is a retelling of Circe from mythology. I don't really know the original story, so I can't tell you anything more than that, but I will say that this has been on my TBR for over a year, so it's good to get this one on there, and I'm kind of feeling this. I wasn't feeling retellings for a while, like mythology ones, but I'm feeling this right now, and this will be my prompt for as a black cover. Roll number 3. Yes, roll number 3. 3. 1, 2, 3. Romance, not my strong suit. Pull a new card. Has a weapon on the cover. That does not really fit with romance, does it? Well, I did pull out a few books from like my classics pile, and I do have some from my Buzzwordathon picks that are romancy. So let me just get those. I need to get one of these 3 on there for my Buzzwordathon cover-a-thon. I don't even know what to call it. The cover challenge. One of the prompts, the prompt for January is pattern, and these 3 books I have patterns on them. Now, The Deep is not a romance, but Lady Chatterley's Lover and I believe Emma are. And I tried to read this last February but got sick, and I'm kind of afraid to read it now. But I think both of these are on my 40 by 40 list. But I've never read a Jane Austen. Pretty cover. It does have a pretty cover. I could do this. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do Emma by Jane Austen for a book with a pretty cover. Emma by Jane Austen is about a woman who likes to play matchmaker amongst her friends. It, I think, is set in like a Regency time period, as I've never read a Jane Austen book, so I really don't know what I'm about to get into other than she's incredibly popular, and I'm hoping I will also love her books. But that's what I know about this. It's kind of thick, but I hope I'll be able to maybe get some thinner books on as we go. This will be my pick for has a pretty cover and a romance. Roll number 4. 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Another historical fiction. And a new to me author. Should I take you back up there? It's kind of the same options I had last time, really. Let's take a look. Okay, we are back up to my historical fiction shelf. And I still have the prompts for green cover, purple cover, K title, weapon on the cover, and new to me author. There's quite a lot of those on here. That'll be an easy one to fulfill. But I want something totally different from Circe, and perhaps short. Let's see. Okay, looking at this back stack here, I do see one that is piquing my interest. Let's pull this one out. The Mad Women's Ball by Victoria Mass. And I've not read a book by her, so that would be a good pick. I think I'm going to do this one. The Mad Women's Ball by Victoria Mass takes place in 1885 in France, and it is about women in an asylum who kind of have just been cast out by their family as, like undesirable women. They're unruly wives and daughters, and we focus on a main character who is talking to spirits and the friendship that she forms with a nurse there. The ball itself is an event that the elite in Paris want to attend to see the amazing hypnotism of the doctor that runs this asylum, and this will all come to a point at the night of the Mad Women's Ball, and kind of like how the women overcome that, I'm assuming. I have never heard anyone talking about this book, but it is originally a French book, so maybe that's why it's more of a newer translation. But I've never read anything by Victoria Mass. This is a debut novel for her, so maybe there isn't any more. I didn't look into it, but I'm excited. I read Butcher by Joyce Carol Oates this year, and it was also a women's asylum type book. And I'm really interested in that subject of like women are hysterical, kind of like nonsense medicine practice. And this just falls right into that same genre, and I love that. So this is a new to me author. And I'm glad it's shorter. Roll number 5. 11. Big numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. A mystery, something different. I'm really hoping not to get any more historical fictions in this round. Has a number in the title. Interesting. Okay, let's take a look at my mystery horror thriller shelves. There are 2 of them, so let me show you those. So these 2 shelves here are my mystery horror thriller shelves. They're all kind of mixed in. And again, this is a double stack here. I need more bookshelves. It's just really, really sad when you always need more bookshelves and you're running out of walls to put bookshelves against. But let's just take a little look and see what options I might have. You know, without even looking, I think I know which one I want to pull, but where is it? Where is it? Should be on this shelf. It is. Okay. The 7 Deaths of Evelyn. 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This has been on my shelf for quite some time, and there is a number in the title, so I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to go with the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a mystery where Evelyn, the title character, her parents are hosting a ball, and every night at 11 p.m. she'll be killed, and a guest attending it, Aiden, he has to solve the murder, and every day, he's got 8 days, every day he wakes up and he is a different guest at this event, and he needs to solve her murder to be able to leave. I've heard great things about this book, but not the other books by this author, so I'm a little bit hesitant going in, but I have had this book on my shelf for over a year, so I'm really excited to be getting to it, and I really like the premise of this book, so I do kind of have high hopes, but hesitant high hopes. But this is going to be my pick for has a number in the title. Roll number 6. What am I hoping for? I am hoping for something that I can land on and put in my choices for Buzzwordathon. That's what I'm hoping for. So what is that? Mystery, which didn't match the last prompts, by the way. I think that's magical realism or fantasy, then some sci-fi. So it's one of those. I'm hoping for one of those. Roll number 6. 2. 1, 2. A classic. Let's pull a new card and an author's debut novel. Well, that is hard to look up when it comes to a classic. I do have some classics that I pulled out and I have in front of me the stack I showed you in the beginning. So let's just take a little look-see over there. So these are the classics that I pulled in to the room. There's my little possible stacks, but my bookshelf in my living room has all my classics on it, and I would take you out and show you that one, but Alonzo's watching Squid Game out there, so I can't take you out and show you that bookshelf right now. But here's the books that I brought in from there. Wuthering Heights, Little Women, The War of the Worlds, The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Picture of Dorian Gray, Jane Eyre, Great Expectations, and Volume 2 of the Wizard of Oz books down there. So I has a purple cover, which I could do either The Wizard of Oz or The Picture of Dorian Gray. Green cover, I could do Little Women. Debut novel, I think Emily Bronte only wrote 1 book, I think. So that could be it. I'm not going to look that one up. Has a weapon on the cover. None of those, I don't think. Unless you want to count like the aliens on the War of the Worlds cover. K title is a no. And has a color in the title is a no. Little Women looks a little thick, looking at this stack I have. Ooh, I've tried to read Wuthering Heights before, and like the accents in those books, they kill me to read. God, I'm really kind of feeling the Wizard of Oz book right now, because I am reading Out of Oz by Gregory Maguire right now, and I already read the first 3 books in that series. Ooh, do I pick that one? I'm kind of digging that one. Yeah, I think I'm doing it. I think I'm doing the Wizard of Oz. Hold, please. Okay, so this is Volume 2 of the Complete Collection of Oz series, which has 3 books. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, The Road to Oz, and the Emerald City of Oz. I read the first volume, I think, in September, and this is deceptively chunky. These books are kids' books, so they go really quick. I tend to read them in one day. Like, not the whole volume, but like each book within the volume.
And I did read the first 3 books already, so I'm excited to go back into the series. I'm really, with Wicked coming out, I'm like really feeling the vibes of Wizard of Oz right now, and I am reading Out of Oz, so hopefully that vibe doesn't go away. But right now I'm reading Out of Oz, the 4th book in the Wicked Years series by Gregory Maguire, so it's also nice to fit in the original and see all the little Easter eggs that have been put in Gregory Maguire's novels. So I think this is good. I'm excited for this one. And this will be my pick for Has a Purple Cover. Starting to get to the tower where you can't really see it. Roll number 7. Did I go backwards again? Fuck, I think I did. Oh, no. Going forward. 1, 2. Series. Island or beach setting. So this could be a new series or continuing a series, but let me take a look and see what I have. I'm going through and I'm having trouble, some of the series, I don't really want to start a new one. I would rather continue a series, but I don't know. There's a ton of series. I have so many, and I don't really know what to do. Just kind of showing you where 1,000 options are here. I have more. Let's go over here. I have more on this side too. I could start the Dark Tower series. I already pulled a Vampire Chronicle book, but I have one more in the Mayfair Witches. I have down here, these are kind of all series, and then I have more down there. But I don't. The one I pulled, I pulled Jurassic Park, and I could totally do Jurassic Park, but I don't, there's too many options. Sometimes I feel like I buy too many books because I just can't make up my mind. And I would really like to do, a Sookie Stackhouse book, but the next one that I have is Club Dead, and I don't think it fits any of the prompts. I just softy enough for the Throne, so I'm not ready for one of those. I could do another V.E. Schwab book. I just gotta check the prompts. I do really want to read Daughter of the Forest, but it's a relatively new book to my shelves. I just don't know. This is the hardest part, you guys. Picking the books is the hard part. Okay, let me think. Hold, please. Okay, I'm just gonna go with my first instinct. I'm not gonna push it. I'm gonna read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. This is the first book in the Jurassic Park series. I don't know if there's another name for it, but I have the first 2 books at least. And I think we've all seen this movie or know the story. Scientists bring dinosaurs back. They open up a theme park. There's characters come on for a tour of the theme park, and all hell breaks loose. It's like a sci-fi thriller, but it is part of a series, so this is what we'll be doing, and it does take place on an island. So there we go. Roll number 8. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another romance. Has a silver or gold cover. I don't have a romance shelf to show you because I only have 5 or 6 books that are romance books that fall easily into other categories. So let me just give this a think. Okay, I'm being a little bit flexible because it's not wholly a romance, but a romantasy. I'm gonna do Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I've never read anything by Sarah J. Maas, but this is the kind of book I would have eaten alive as a teenager, in all of my role-playing fan fiction, Twilight fan fiction, RP writing. I would have devoured these kind of books back then. And I do have the entire series, so I would like to get started. And this is not that bad of a book. And if it's anything like the books I read as a teenager, I'll just absolutely devour it with no problem. And it does have a weapon on the cover. She's holding a sword there. So that will be my pick for romance, has a weapon on the cover. Little bit of a bend with romantasy, but even on Goodreads, it's listed as a romance before fantasy. So this works. Roll number 9. Let's see can I roll left-handed? I can't even roll left-handed. 8. Make sure I'm going the right way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, a dystopian. We like dystopians. And published between 1990 and 2010. I'm just glad it's not a cover color. I'm getting really sick of those. Again, dystopian, I have a little bit all over the place. A lot of YA dystopians, some sci-fi, and some classic dystopians. Okay, so for dystopian, I am going to go with The Deloriad by Missouri Williams. This is Missouri's debut novel. It takes place in a post-environmental dystopian America where an incestual family is ruled by a matriarch, and she sends one of her daughters away as a marriage offer, but then she returns the next day, and this triggers a breakdown in the matriarch. And this is a short book. It does not have good reviews, but I saw Jack in the books, Jack Edwards. He was going to read this book, and so I also picked it up. If he thinks it's interesting, then maybe it is. So we'll see if it's any good or if it's a DNF and unhaul. I'm not sure. Sometimes I like weird off-the-wall books, so we'll see how this one goes. And I can use either green cover or an author's debut novel for this, and I think I'm going to do debut novel. Those are harder to find. They take more research, so let's do that. The Deloriad. Roll number 10. We're getting there. We're getting somewhere near the end. 11. These big numbers are helping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Another dystopian. L title. All right. Okay, I thought about it, and I had to come around to the conclusion that this is the book that's in my best interest, and that is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. This is the second book in the arc of the Scythe series, and in this series, death is obsolete. We have revival centers in this world that can bring people back from the brink of death, no matter how long or what circumstances. Like, people jump off of buildings for fun in this world. And our main characters, they are now, they had been Scythe apprentices in the previous book and kind of became friends to rivals, and that is the story we're following. And I don't want to say much more because it will be full of spoilers, but I did really enjoy the first book. I read it like 2 months ago, and I tend to wait too long in between reading books and series, so let's go ahead and get this one on there. That's why it's in my best interest. And this will be my dystopian that has a green cover. I asked for sci-fi, and I got it. Not the ones that I was hoping to get on here, but sci-fi nonetheless. Roll number 11. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another series. Each title. Welly, you know what? I might be able to do this. Again, I have a ton of series, but let me see the one that I want to read and check it out. Okay, finally I get one of the ones I want. I want to read Club Dead by Charlaine Harris. This is the third book in the Southern Vampire Mysteries series, or the Sookie Stackhouse books. You know, the show True Blood was based on it. I inhaled the last 2 books. These are so much trashy fun. There is no merit here. It's just all spice and fun and games, and I love that. And it was published in, see if you can see that, 2003. So 1990 to 2010, perfect. I finally get something I want. Roll number 12, I think. I'm starting to lose count. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A graphic novel. I don't know many of those. 1-word title. Okay, that took me a hot minute because I do not own many graphic novels or comics, but I'm becoming a lot more open to them. But to get myself something, I had to actually download it onto my Nook. That's right, I said Nook, not Kindle. I have a Nook and I'm proud of it. I love my Nook. But I'm going to read, can you see that? The Witcher Volume 1, which is called House of Glass. I read all of the Witcher books already and just really need more. And these seem to have more of the Monster of the Week story that I enjoy with The Witcher. So House of Glass is going to be my graphic novel with an H title. Roll number 13. We are almost at the end. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reading list. So I have to pick one off of one of my reading lists. Could be a Hispanic author, perhaps. Let me see. So I keep my reading lists in my journal. So let me pull up my reading journal here. I have my 40 by 40 list here. I need to type out and give you guys a full version to be able to see. But just glancing at this list, Little Women is on it, Wuthering Heights is on it, The Picture of Dorian Gray is on it, Great Expectations, Jane Eyre, like tons of classics. I base this list off of Rory Gilmore's reading challenge, and I actually have to make that video and show you how I made that list, but that's coming at some point. I'm not feeling comfortable putting Little Women on there. It's very thick. Wuthering Heights, I'm not really feeling. One word title, I don't think I have. Let me review. Okay, I don't. So of all these, one of them is a one-word title. Emma's also on this list, but I already have that one there. But like, can you think? Do you see what I see? I don't know if you could focus. Carrie, Stephen King, been wanting to read that for a long time. One-word title. I'm grabbing it. Okay, Carrie by Stephen King. He's written 60 plus books, and this was his very first. We all know the story. Carrie is a misfit cast out in her high school. Her mother is a religious zealot. She is abused in all kinds of horrible ways by her classmates, her family, everybody. And she develops telekinetic powers and uses them to seek revenge on her classmates after they pour a bunch of blood on her at prom. We all know this story. It is super, super old. I've never read the book though, and I am so excited. I've been wanting to read this one for a hot minute, and I'm so glad I get to put this on here and knock it off my 40 by 40. You gotta get out with those stats. That's great. All right, one-word title, Carrie by Stephen King. We are in the money. Number 14. Please let this be the last roll. I've got quite the stack going. Now, these do go seasonally, so don't think I'm reading these all in 1 month. It's probably closer to 3 months, but here we go. 4. It is not over. 1, 2, 3, 4. A nonfiction has a jungle animal on the cover. Well, that doesn't usually work for nonfiction, but let's see what we have. So here are all of my nonfiction and poetry books on what used to be my TBR card. I have some true crime back there in the back also, but Buddha true crime, it's not really my vibe. So do I want to, these are like my mythology, philosophy, memoirs. Then I have my historical ones, history and science. And down here are all my poetry and feminism and women's studies. What do I want to read?
2,000 years later.
I've gone through these books like 5 times, just looking at everything. And the only one I'm really coming up with is Angela's Ashes as being a book with a gold cover. So let's do this one. Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt is the memoir of Frank McCourt's childhood when he was growing up in Ireland, but also in Brooklyn, New York. And it's about poverty, the struggles he and his family faced, and also enduring his father's alcoholism. I read an excerpt of this book in my 10th grade college English class, and all I can remember is they called him Typhoid Boy. So I don't really know this story, but I would like to read the entire book since I only had an excerpt of it in school, and revisiting books I was supposed to read in school is a pastime of mine. So we're going to do Angela's Ashes for a nonfiction, and that is a silver or gold cover. I'm kind of stretching it with gold, but it is pretty gold. Now this has got to be the last roll. Get us off this board. I've got book overload. 8. We're done. Well done. And Grumpy Ghost is now appeased. Grumpy Ghost is at peace. So I did not get most of the books I needed to get from my Buzzwordathon challenge on here, but that's okay. We're gonna throw them in anyway. And I ended up with 15 books, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 for my ebook graphic novel. Yeah, 15 books, 3 months. Let's recap.
Well, now that was one hell of a game, and I ended up with 15 books, a whole lot of sci-fi, a lot of series on here. So let's just give a quick recap of the books and the prompts. For failing to complete my TBR, I had to pull a late find card, and that ordered me to select a next book in a series and add it to my TBR. And for this, I chose Blood and Gold by Anne Rice. For my first roll, I landed on Reference Desk and had to refer to my TBR pouch. And for this, I pulled This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. On my second roll, I landed on Historical Fiction and chose a book with a black cover, and that will be Circe by Madeline Miller. On my third roll, I landed on Romance and chose the prompt Has a Pretty Cover, and for that I chose Emma by Jane Austen. On my fourth roll, I landed on Historical Fiction again, and using the prompt New to Me Author, I selected The Mad Women's Ball by Victoria Moss. On my fifth roll, I landed on Mystery, and using the prompt Has a Number in the title, I selected The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. For my sixth roll, I landed on Classic, and using the prompt Has a Purple Cover, I selected Oz, Volume 2, the next 3 books in the Oz series. For my seventh roll, I landed on Series, and using Island or Beach setting, selected Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. For my eighth roll, I landed on Romance again, and using the prompt Weapon on the Cover, I selected Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. For my ninth roll, I landed on Dystopian, and using debut novel, I selected The Deloriad by Missouri Williams. On my 10th roll, I landed on Dystopian again, and using the green cover prompt, I chose Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. For my 11th roll, I landed on Series, and finding a book published between 1990 and 2010, I chose Club Dead by Charlaine Harris. For my 12th roll, I landed on graphic novel or comic, and using the prompt for an H title, I selected The Witcher Volume 1, House of Glass. For my 13th roll, I landed on reading list and selecting something from my 40 by 40 list. With a one-word title, I chose Carrie by Stephen King. For my 14th and final roll, I landed on the nonfiction space, and using the prompt for a gold or silver cover, I selected Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. Thank you all so much for watching and joining me playing today. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below with everything you're reading and your thoughts on these books, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!